What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Titans Table for Two in the two-tone blue. That's Andrew.
That's Christian.
And we got a lot to talk about with minicamp and everything that's going on before we go into the dead zone here for about 5 or 6 weeks before training camp. And we're going to talk about all of that when we get back. All right, Titans fans, what is up, man? We are back. It's been a couple of weeks. There's a lot to talk about. But before we do, Homeboy is going to open up his Cam Ward jersey.
Here we go.
Because I've been waiting. I got me the navy blue because you know what? I feel like everybody wears the baby blues these days because
mine's baby blue.
The new thing. Yeah, I'll get a baby blue one probably down the road, maybe a stitched one. I did get the printed one because I'm going to be wearing it a lot. And I don't know. I don't want to wear all those strings out and stuff. I think the next one I probably will get a stitched one that I wear a little bit less. But anyway, it's sharp, buddy. Excuse the language. But there it is, man.
There we go.
First shot.
Boom.
Navy Cam Ward jersey, baby.
There we go.
Jersey. We're going to go ahead and put that on for the podcast, baby.
There you go.
But yeah, man, a lot to talk about with minicamp, man. There's some good to talk about, some bad to talk about. I guess that's generally probably how it is for most teams and everything. Nothing's going to be perfect. But if you were listening to all the news, man, Cam Ward showed out that first day. Chirping back and forth with Jeffrey Simmons and all that stuff. He threw an interception during 7-on-7, I believe it was. But then everything after that was perfect, something like 20 for 20 or something for the day with team drills.
Yeah, his competitive nature is definitely coming out. The thing I loved about it was after he's chirping back and forth with Jeff, which Jeff loves that stuff, going back and forth. That Brian Callahan the next day was like, I had to ask him after practice, do I need to wait for you to stop talking shit before I give you the play? He said, no, I heard everything. And he said he did. He went out there, he called the right play, he executed it perfectly. I can't really say much to him if that's what he's doing. So
yeah, exactly. It's just like it feels like a culture change in general, man. It just feels like a little bit of spice, man, has been thrown.
It was a little different this year for sure.
It's just a little bit of a swagger, man, that we got that we haven't had. And man, I feel bad for Levis in a way, man. We'll get into him a little bit. I was going to talk about him. I think he's come in and been professional this mini camp. He's in a tough position, man. You're with the team and a coach that obviously has decided they don't really want you. I mean, it's strong wording maybe, but with the pick of Cam Ward, that's clear, right? The GM is gone that drafted you. The coach is gone that was with you. The coach that came in gave you a chance. People can argue that it wasn't a great chance, with the bad line and other things, but he had his opportunities, man. He made his fair share of mistakes, but I guess we can go ahead and talk about it since I'm kind of going into it, man. Will Levis, on the other hand, I think has done a good job kind of coming in, considering the position he's in. So props to him.
I think another winner of minicamp is Cody Barton. He's been all over the field. He was the guy who picked off Cam Ward that day. And he picked Cam Ward off another day, too. I think Cam had 3 interceptions, and 2 of them were Cody Barton. And hopefully he looks like
by Cody Barton.
Hopefully he looks like that in coverage in the season, because that's what we've been needing as a coverage linebacker.
That brings me to a couple of losers that we'll get into. Yeah. With those two, because I think since we're on the linebackers, I think James Williams is another winner in that linebacker room.
He's the favorite right now to win that job.
It seems like he might be the favorite over the other two. So the loser's a strong word, but I mean, Otis Reese and Cedric Gray are going to lose out in that situation if that's the case. Another winner that's kind of a smaller name, second-year guy, I believe, Bryce Oliver had 3 touchdowns in the red zone.
The last day. Yeah. I've been a big on Bryce Oliver the whole time. So
yeah, absolutely. Anybody that we can have come in and fill a spot and do some work, man. We need all the help we can get in that.
We got a long way to go until the 53, but I mean, if I had to guess the 53 today, I'm guessing we keep 7 receivers, and Bryce Oliver is one of them.
One of those would be, so Cam Ward, just before we move off him, I guess, he had the great day the first day. Then he had, 1 or 2 picks the next day, or was it
2?
2, I think, and then he threw another one the third day. But the third day was a little bit more. Third day was kind of the mixture of the first 2. There's some good and some bad. Like I said, he had the 3 touchdowns down in the red zone, with all 3 being to Bryce Oliver, I believe. And then he had the 1 pick. I think it was in 7-on-7 as well.
Yeah,
day 3. But yeah, you get some winners and losers both out of that. I think Cam looks good all in all. I mean, it's like
I think the interceptions is fine. You'd rather him go out there and the Callahan said this: go see what you can do. Try. I want you to try. Don't try it in the game. Try it out here and see if you can make that throw and make that read.
Right.
This is where you're supposed to be trying things out. One of the biggest things that like really stood off the page to me is he came up to the play, to the line of scrimmage, saw something in the defense, called an audible, and canned it, and then threw a touchdown to Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
So I mean, talk about that means he's coming. He's seeing some pre-snap things, made an adjustment, and touchdown.
Yeah,
and that's great that he's seeing that connection with Calvin already, because that was one thing last year that we didn't have. Like they kept saying, "Oh, well, Levis and Calvin will get connected. Just give it time," because they just weren't connected in training camp.
Yeah, it just never seemed to kind of get in sync for pretty much the entire season. It felt
so like it seems like him and Calvin are already on the same page.
While we're on the wide receivers, though, honestly, all the news coming out, Jim Wyatt and all of our Titans veteran media that you follow, all the rookie wide receivers are impressing. In particular, Restrepo, and it's more than just Cam Ward getting the ball to his guys, because all the quarterbacks are throwing it his way.
Yeah,
he's getting open for everybody.
He's been the go-to guy for all the quarterbacks. He just gets open.
Yeah, the word coming out. Yeah, and that's been Iomanner's gotten a lot of praise as well, but Restrepo in particular, they've mentioned that he's been open for all quarterbacks across camp. So it's not just Cam Ward feeding it to his pal. It's you got Allen getting him the ball, Levis getting him the ball. Everybody's kind of getting the ball that way to Restrepo. So I think Restrepo makes this roster. If you're trying to predict the roster today, I think he makes it, man.
That's what brings me to one of my losers is, although he seems to be healing faster than suggested, is Treylon Burks, because although he's doing like individual drills, he's not able to get out there per team, and being away, you're not able to prove anything you can prove while these rookie receivers and second-year receivers are dominating out there.
Well, and I saw a lot of comments about him being overweight and out of shape, and it's like, well, of course.
He ain't able to do anything,
Yeah, I mean, he's out. He's been injured and stuff. That's to be expected. So, I mean, if he's out of shape and stuff come training camp,
then it's a different story.
And I understand. But
I think if to me, like 7 receivers, Treylon Burks isn't one of them. If you're to get this team right now,
I don't think Treylon Burks is on this squad.
I don't either. I think it's if I had to pick my 7 receivers,
it makes more sense to cut him. I think the closer you get to the end of his contract, and Will Levis, I think the same thing. But he was even asked about that stuff, and I think I like that he's being honest about how he's feeling and stuff. But yeah, a couple of guys obviously losing out, and a couple of guys big winners and stuff. I like what I see from the young wide receivers for sure. Another kind of loser coming out of this is L'Jarius Sneed, just because of all the stuff around him. This could potentially be one of the worst moves. It's crazy to say that, because it was working out and stuff at first, and everything, and then just the season just tanked so fast. But
I'd like to see
the health concerns, and then you have the legal stuff. So there's a lot going around.
I think they said they expect him back for training camp. The legal thing is weird. Like, obviously, it's not like a great look, but nothing. I mean, it's just a civil case right now. There's no crime that's going. You know what I mean? So, and I don't think, as far as I'm aware, there's been no meetings between him and the league.
Yeah, I didn't get into that too much. I'm an attorney.
I don't think there's any suspensions of him, but. So, I mean, he didn't play his best ball in those 5 games he played last year, but he played good.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like.
Well, what we need out of him is 16 games, and I'm not sure we're getting that. I hope.
Right.
But the L'Jarius Sneed thing looking more and more like it's not going to necessarily work out for the best in the long run, but I hope not. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, guys. I just try to be a realist, man, and see the writing on the wall a little bit.
You mentioned his name already, but I think Otis Reese is a loser. Because
Cedric Gray as well. Yeah.
I think Cedric Gray's more in the running than Reese is. James Woods looked as a favorite. Cedric Gray's looked fine. But it's really because of David Binda, the undrafted linebacker out of Texas. Because I think he comes in and takes that Otis Reese spot.
Yeah, I mean Otis Reese looking more and more like he's just going to be a role.
And I like Otis Reese, but it's going to be more of a long shot because I think David Binda makes this roster.
Yeah, it's just looking more and more like he might become more of a role player if he makes this roster, man.
Practice squad guy, maybe it gets called up.
Yeah, and Cedric Gray, the thing about him, man, he there was a play I think where he had fallen on a fumble or something, recovered a fumble, and look, guys, I know some of you don't like some of the Titans' names in media, and some of you do. Regardless, Buck Rising is a guy that's there a lot and watches every practice and stuff. And for a guy like him to say something like that's the first big play that he's seen Cedric Gray kind of make out in practice, I mean, that tells you something. I mean, he's not making plays, is what it means. And
now, I will give some grace to because they're not there every practice. They were only there for like 3, I think, out of like all the mini camps and but it is still. I mean, he's still there enough to see more than what we're seeing.
Absolutely, and I mean, you got to take when guys like Jim White and Buck Rising and stuff. They've got a little bit more of an inside than some of us, man. And I like Buck and I like Jim, man. I know not everybody feels that way. I'm a fan. I like the guys. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Cedric Gray, man. I've been rooting for him since day one. So this is not coming from a place of hate or negativity, man. It's just you don't hear his name too much, man, is all. And I mean, I know he had some injury stuff last year. He got a late start and everything. So, but I think for right now, we could consider him one of the losers of minicamp, considering everything. So,
yeah, for sure. Speaking of Buck Rising, I had a video. If you don't know, you're not a local Titans fan. Buck Rising is a local radio host, and he had Louis Riddick on his show this week. It's a longer video. We'll skip through and listen to what Rick is saying. But just want to see because Louis Riddick is, he's been very much a Cam supporter. So let's see.
He's been pretty fair to the Titans over the years, honestly.
Yeah. He's a smart mind. Honestly, I always thought that he might be a guy that gets a GM job, like kind of like Mike Mayock did, because he's smart.
Yeah. Big fans of Louis Riddick around
here. There's you can do these conversations by degree. Context is important, nuance is important, which is why we're excited to have smart guests like Louis Riddick joining us on the radio show for the first time. Louis, thank you so much for stopping by. The city of Nashville is obviously incredibly excited about Cam Ward, and you have been one of his most staunch supporters the entire way through the pre-draft process, and as things continue into his very, very young NFL career. At what point did you think Cam was going to be the kind of special that you are now comfortable comparing him in certain terms, to somebody like Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of people who kind of like start to absolutely lose their you-know-what over that comparison. And see, I don't know why people get so uncomfortable with comparisons, especially when you give them good context, which I did, which is, look, Cam plays from a
Hi, I'm
a little
Brett.
bit of an ad.
And I'm Jonathan.
Hey, Brett. Hey,
This
Jonathan.
is Darla.
You still there? Are we still on?
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I couldn't tell my computer was doing something weird here.
You're good.
Yeah, no, we I think from a stylistic standpoint, Cam has a lot of things that look very similar to the way Patrick likes to play the game. Patrick always described it as being like he's playing baseball, like he's just throwing the ball to first base, and that's why his feet sometimes are parallel. The ball sometimes comes out sidearm, three-quarter sidearm. It's a little unorthodox as far as how quarterback traditionally was played. Well, Cam Ward does the same thing. He can do the same types of things. He has very similar arm horsepower to Patrick. He just does. I've seen it up close in person, both of them, so I know. So I'm speaking from experience. When did I start feeling as though he had special qualities? I think it was I saw him in Pullman 2 years ago against Wisconsin early in the season. Then I got to see him play twice just this past year and got to go down to his pro day too, and got to know Mario Cristobal and Shannon Dawson, his offensive coordinator, and they really walked me through the transition that he went through when he transferred from Washington State down to Coral Gables, and how from day one he just kind of took over. Now, I saw that and heard about that when I was up at Washington State, but he took it to a whole new level as far as his leadership, which is really the special sauce with him, which is really the special sauce with all these quarterbacks who are in the upper tier. It's not just their own individual talent. It's the way in which they raise the level of everyone else because of how good they are and what they demand.
I think that's been one of the biggest things that's come out of all of this. Yeah, he went 20 for 20, and I mean, I'd love to hear that. But just how much of a leader, how much he is telling the guys he expects from him, what he expects from him, how much effort he expects from him, and doing it by example also while being vocal about it, whether it's the showing up at 5 a.m. or staying after practice. You're seeing these receivers get on the jugs machine. I mean, this is stuff they were probably doing before, but you could just a different vibe to the whole thing.
And I think that's something maybe I would say other than the Tannehill years. Tannehill, I think, had leadership qualities. He said and did the right things.
As good as Marcus was for that short period of time, he never
Marcus,
really
was pretty good. He wasn't
leader to me.
I don't think he was a strong vocal leader. He was kind of a more reserved kind of guy. I don't know. They say him on the field, though, man. He chatters more than you think. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think that leadership's maybe been missing here in Tennessee for a little bit. Tannehill, like I said, did well. I don't think Vince Young handled that well. I think that's where maybe some of his issues came in. But ever since Steve and stuff, and we've had some guys come in and do it a little bit, but that's what we need, though, man. We need that solid leader that's got it between here. I don't want some knucklehead, man.
Knucklehead.
Yeah. And they don't ask people to do anything that they're not willing to commit themselves to doing as far as committing to the process. And that's what Cam's all about. You heard his parting words when I guess he left OTAs about what he said he was going to do.
I was there. Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect. And that's how he was at Miami.
The throw the shit out of the ball comment?
He had one of the great seasons in Miami history as far as throwing the football. And that's why he raised the level of all the offensive players around him. Had Miami had anything close to resembling a competent defense, Miami would have been in the playoff picture and maybe in the national title hunt because of the way they could move the ball offensively, primarily because of Cam. He's exactly what Tennessee needs. That's the kind of personality of that position that Tennessee needs. That's the kind of skill set that Tennessee needs to take that offense and really level it up. He comes from a great family, super supportive people, super nice people, and he is just uniquely zeroed in on trying to be the best damn quarterback he can be. And that's it. That's all he cares about. Why wouldn't everybody in Tennessee go and put their arms around him and go, just lead us, man. We're going to ride your coattails. That's exactly what you want, and he's built for it. He's just simply built for it. I'm as convicted on this young man in terms of his makeup.
Most of these people, when they do this, they're numb, and you use some sort of sedation, like IV.
We're back as any, whether it was Jaden Daniels last year or C.J. Stroud the year before. I'm very much so Team Cam Ward.
Well, Louis, and I'm so glad that you articulated it that way. By the way, Louis Riddick, ESPN, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Of course, you can see him across their various platforms at any given point, whether it's Get Up, NFL Live, or all the other great broadcasts that he's doing, as well as college football broadcasts throughout the course of the season. Because I'm sure you've heard the Kevin O'Connell clip from last offseason where he's talking about the rate of quarterback churn and burn, right? And he's talking about the organizations that fail these players far more often than the players themselves fail. Because I am 100% in agreement with you, Louis, based on all the different stories that we hear from people who we've talked to.
I would almost suggest that probably I agree with that, man. That probably happens more than the players failing,
Yeah, they get thrown in situations that aren't great. And some can handle.
You could argue that's what's happened with Will Levis this last year, man. I know he had his really bonehead mistakes, but he didn't have no help, man. He really didn't have.
No.
Yeah, he's got potential to go somewhere else better suited for him and do okay.
I mean, the Packers have kind of followed the opposite of the rest of the NFL, where they always get a guy, let him sit for a couple years, and then
that
they
used to
seem
be
to
the
always
norm.
be. Yeah,
That used to be the
Steve
norm.
didn't
It
play
used to
for a
be
couple years.
crazy to think you were throwing a rookie out there first year. That used to be a crazy thought.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that long ago, too. I mean, in our lifetime,
Yep.
you know, I can remember them talking like that, you know, when I was a little younger, you know, a teenage football fan, you know, so it hasn't always been that way where the guy drafted comes right in, you know, and is expected to start.
I think they've realized that the quarterback demands so much money once they hit that second contract.
Yeah.
That winning the secret to winning is winning with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, winning with before they hit that big contract.
Mm-hmm. Winning in the first 4 years or 5 years if it's a first round pick of a rookie's quarterback's contract, because you're able to spend
that helped the
money
Patriots
around
all
them.
those years was Tom Brady not taking the max contract.
A lot easier when you supermodel making hundreds of millions of dollars too.
But yeah, geez, for good crying out loud, $100 million contracts, man. I mean, that makes it easier for them to fill the other spots on the team, though, right? When he's doing something like that, you know, obviously he's worth the max contract. He's the greatest quarterback, you know, of all time now.
I don't know if he ever took a max. I guess there's no max, but I
don't think he ever did.
I don't think he was ever the highest paid quarterback in the league.
No, and you know, good on him for something like that. That's one of those things that makes me respect the Tom Brady, man. Seriously. But anyway,
let's see what Lewis has to say about that.
On the show and done research on at Miami, Wazoo, and even Incarnate Word, and just seeing the way that his teammates have interacted with him during the course of the Titans offseason program, all these different things, and yet. You know, the organization itself, I think, is still quite suspect in the way that they are trying to build around them. I think Mike Borgonzi is a very serious football personnel man. I think Brian Callahan is a very serious football coach. But we have seen several instances of these things across the board go sideways. And I wonder how you feel about the landing spot for him beyond him being built for this.
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on two important points. Well, really one in particular. Look, Mike knows – in particular, that being Borgonzi, where he just came from, the amount of time he spent there with Andy and Brett Reed and Brett Veach, and why Patrick was as successful as he was, going beyond his own physical skills and his mental makeup, and how to go about trying to foster that kind of environment for the guy, for a quarterback, so he can then just take off and become all he can be. I mean, there isn't much more that you can really get in terms of a GM who has seen the development arc of right now who is considered to be the most talented quarterback maybe we've seen in the past 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years. So if they just let him execute what his vision is in terms of I'm trying to copy and put together and follow the same kind of blueprint that Brett and Andy followed in Kansas City, then they have a chance. Because you're right, and I've been talking about this since, well, when we got into TV back in 2013 at ESPN, about the fact that the development and utilization phase of player development, you know, if you're talking about, you know, scouting and information gathering, and then valuation and selection, and then development and implementation. Those are the three tripods of team building. Development and utilization. That's the most important phase. Because, look, all scouts obviously think that they can scout better than the next guy and they can see shit that other guys can't, blah, blah, blah. It's not true. What's really true is, and how you can really get a competitive advantage is when you get them under your roof. Now, what are you doing? And so you're right. Some organizations have a history of screwing it up. Churning over coaches, churning over play callers, churning through players, owners getting involved, team presidents getting involved, team president's wife gets involved, the man on the street gets involved, everyone's listening to everyone's opinion, and next thing you know, you don't have a philosophical direction. In Tennessee, it's the greatest team sport in the world, right? It's the most popular sport, obviously, in our country by far, because and everyone's so invested. There's so much information, and everyone has access to all this behind the scenes information. And what happens is there's so many people who have so many things to say that sometimes the people who are in charge become so distracted and listen to so much crap Did they forget why they were put in that spot in the first place, which is 9 times out of 10, because they're competent and they know how to get, what it takes to get there. If you just let a guy like Mike Borgonzi do what he's capable of doing, what he has seen done when he was in Kansas City, you have a chance. Protect the quarterback, build a solid wall. Make sure it's a complementary offense. Make sure he has weapons. Make sure you have a solid defense and a coach who understands the field position and putting your quarterback in advantage.
Now, I all the things he just listed, I think it's all still a work in progress. Are we perfect at the offensive line? No, but did we improve from last year? Absolutely. You add Kevin Zeitler.
I mean, I'm going to be lying if I tell you I'm not a little worried about the left side still, but
with Dan Moore, but I mean,
it's better than what we had last year, though.
I mean, I'll take Dan Moore over any other guys for sure. Did you get him weapons?
I'll take him over.
You got 4 rookie weapons, and you brought in Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson to go with Calvin Ridley. Now, do we have a Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson? Heck, of Brian Thomas Jr.? No. But are those weapons that he can utilize? For sure. And not to mention Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. Building the defense. The defense is the pass rush is what I'm still most worried about. I hope Femi grows and becomes an all-star
like a beast,
pass
man.
rusher.
I think he's going to be something special.
And I hope that's right, because that's really what we need. But a coach that understands.
I hope so too, because everybody graded that pick so low, and I hope he just shoves it up everybody's what, because he looks like a freak out there right now.
But what he's talking about, he said having a coach that understands defensive and scheme and clock and football, whatever, field, clock management and all that stuff. Denard Wilson is that dude.
Yeah.
If there's anything that gives me faith in the defense, it's Denard Wilson.
Yeah.
Eventually he's going to be a head coach somewhere, and I'm going to hate to lose him. But that dude knows what he's talking about. All right.
Advantageous spots. Make sure you have a great quarterback coach who can be the go-between between your quarterback and the play caller, because that's the guy who settles it all down, who can really kind of decipher all the information in real time during the game. You saw, speaking of Kevin O'Connell, how many times did we see clips of Sam Darnold last year talking with Josh McCown?
Right.
And Josh is the one who's really taking the information from Kevin and saying, look, this is what I need you to do. This is what we need you to do. Not that Kevin can't.
That's Bo Hardegree for us. That's our quarterback's coach. I'm not going to personally act like I know Bo Hardegree and all that stuff, but everything I have heard is that he's a guru with these things, and he's so good about breaking down the information for the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So that's another check.
But it's all part of it. It's all a part of getting that one dude at the command and control center to be able to process all that information and then throw the football when he's getting hit upside the head by some of the fiercest athletes on earth. There's so many things, man. There's so many things that go into it. Just let the people do what they do.
You're not going to believe what happened.
I think Borgonzi could turn out to be maybe the most crucial addition to the
hired
team
in
this
these
year.
specific
Best thing the
spots.
Titans have ever done.
And then let the chips fall where they may. Just stop turning stuff over and listening to what Adam Schefter says or the late great Chris Mortensen. I remember people used to call these guys all the time, and I'd hear them. There'd be owners, GMs, all kinds of stuff asking, "What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy?" It's like, dude, they're reporters.
Thank you.
They're my boys and they're my guys, and I love them to death, and they're competent as hell, the best of the profession, but they're not there all the time. They don't know. Just let the people, just trust your ability to hire great people, and then let them go, and then let them build some consistency. So you give chances to guys like Cam Ward as far as him becoming everything that he can become. There's no secret. There's no secret as to why a guy like Patrick becomes what he becomes. Why Josh Allen has become what he's become in Buffalo. Why, look, even Joe Burrow is uniquely talented, but he's had some levels of consistency around him, especially when you're talking about the offensive side of the ball and the people who are in his ear. Okay, there's been some consistency there. There's a reason why.
Switch Will Levis and Joe Burrow
going down the
teams,
list,
man.
Look at Lamar Jackson. I just heard some people talking about Lamar Jackson on the radio earlier today. When Lamar was potentially going to be a free agent. All the teams who were like, we're not interested. We're not interested. We're not interested. And then he winds up re-signing in Baltimore. And what does he do? He just wins a couple MVP. It's just like, there's a reason why he was able to continually ascend, because John Harbaugh had a great plan for him, continued to tweak it. Obviously, he brings in Todd Monken to kind of take it to a whole nother level, because he believed that Lamar needed a little bit more to really become all that he's become. And right now, I mean, hell, Lamar's unstoppable.
All right, bring it back to Tennessee here, Lewis.
Watch what these organizations do, and they all have certain things that are all very similar from one to the other, and why it leads to the success that their quarterbacks have had.
So when you look at the key ingredients, Lewis, on the field in a quarterback's rookie year, what are some of the baseline things that you find are common with quarterbacks that have success in their rookie season, whether it's a reliable safety blanket? We understand offensive line play is a bare minimum that Caleb Williams didn't have last year, that Jaden Daniels had more of, but trying to consider what the Titans have to put Cam in that position to succeed right out of the gates. What's 1A and 1B and what you absolutely have to have for that to be the case?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. Look, number one, you have to have, at the very least, competent offensive line play and an ability to be somewhat situationally balanced, to where you're literally just not overloading the kid and relying on his ability to throw the football, especially behind a leaky offensive line, where he doesn't have time to get comfortable with not only what he's supposed to do as far as his own offense is concerned, meaning pre-snap checks, ball snapped, my eyes come down, like especially if I'm in the gun, my eyes go up and everything, all of a sudden the whole picture has changed. Now I'm starting to I need to remember where the guys are supposed to be, and I'm trying to decipher what's going on with the offense. So you've got to have, at the very least, competent O-line play, a guy he can turn around and hand the ball off to, take some pressure off of him, and offensive. So look, competent offensive line play, at the very least, competent weaponry, and really, I'll just go in three.
I thought he was
play
asking
caller
about characteristics about the
quarterback coach,
not the team, but
who can really distill the information down to where it is digestible and usable for him, and they know exactly what they need to go to and when they need to go to it to keep him comfortable and keep him on track and keep him playing on time. It cannot just go helter-skelter on him, meaning I'm getting my ass knocked off. I'm getting no protection. We are constantly behind the chain, so I can't run the ball. And you are just picking plays like we're picking plays off of a menu, at a late night 24-hour restaurant after being out drinking all night.
What?
Like a 12-year-old playing Madden.
Yeah, not doubt. I'm gonna stop right there. A lot of good things from him for sure. Yeah, definitely a guy who knows what he's talking about. But I believe in Brian Callahan's play calling, despite last year between Will Levis and the offensive line. Didn't do
This will be the year that we kind of can see. I think we'll get a better look at that this year, but I don't think he can go 2 years in a row with two different quarterbacks, an improved line this year. It'll be a discussion if it's another disaster this year. I mean, I think if we get another 4-win season, 3-win season, I don't know, man.
It's definitely possible. I think we, like I said, a competent weaponry. I think with Tony Pollard, Titus Spears, the receivers we have, Lockett can be that safety blanket for sure. Along with Restrepo, who seems to be already being that. But to be fair, Lockett didn't practice in minicamp or OTAs.
I love that we're getting a little bit of speed in that wide receiver room, though, man. A little bit more than we've had the last couple of years, man. You can put a Calvin Ridley out there, and you can have a Shamir Dike, a Ridley, and a Tyler Lockett out there, all in one play. We put some speed out there.
Chig is a fast tight end.
Chig, yeah, I'm really hoping for some good stuff out of him.
Chig and Gunnar Helm were going to be 1A, 1B.
And we didn't bring it up, but apparently David Martin Robertson had a good mini camp too. I'm hearing as well.
He's going to have a long road. He's going to have to beat out Wiley.
Yeah.
I think Helm and Chig are on this team, so he's going to have to beat out Wiley. Sure. I don't think they keep 5 tight ends again. That receiver room's too stacked now.
No, and then because we only took 3 to games half the time, man. 2 of them were injured.
Well, you're looking at Khalil Mullins probably making this team and probably being active on game days just because of his special teams, So,
Yeah.
we'll get more and more as we get closer to training camp and stuff like that. A little bit of news. Titans will be having a joint practice with the Buccaneers and the Falcons before their preseason games with them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good for Cam to get a little more good look at a different defense for sure.
Got to look into these public practices too.
Yeah, that don't think that news has come out yet, like which ones are going to be open and stuff yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it anywhere.
I've been keeping my eye open. Jim White usually drops something once the schedule comes out. But we'll definitely be at some of those whenever.
For sure.
But so
you want to get into the top 25?
Yeah, what we're about to start, and we're it's going to be over the next 5 episodes, 5 players at a time. The top 25 Titans of all time. Now, this is not Oilers. This is Titans that have played in the AFC South. So really from like 2002 really, because they're the AFC Central. But all those teams from 99 kind of all those players.
Some of these players are pre-AFC South, I think. They're still Titans, but I'm not sure Bruce Matthews ever
Bruce
played.
Matthews played. No, he did. I checked. He played a couple years.
Okay.
So we're going to do numbers 1 through 5, going from best number 1 to 25.
Well, if 1 or 2 players slips in that didn't play AFC South, I'm not gonna fret about it, man. I'm gonna stay 98 forward. When the jerseys changed and the stadium opened up and everything.
So eventually,
Super Bowl year.
We'll be taking this list over to CPN, the Curtis Podcast Network, and getting with Curtis from the Real Texans Team Podcast, Justin from Unstable for all your Colts info, Isaiah from Third and Teal for all your Jaguar stuff, and coming up with the top 25 AFC South players of all time. So we're going to bring our Titans 1 to, and they'll bring their teams to it, and then we'll break down the top 25 of all time. So we're going to start our 25 today, 1 through 5. I think the top 4 are going to be pretty unanimous.
Well, we know kind of probably the 10 names or so that aren't going to be in this first 5.
I think there's 4.
Steve doesn't go there. Eddie doesn't go there. Bruce doesn't go there.
Yeah, I think they said there's
Derrick Henry doesn't go there.
To me, there's 4 players that are absolutely in the top. Of your top 4, and it's Bruce Matthews, Steve McNair, Eddie George, and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue.
Now
that.
we gotta place them is the thing.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to that part of the list, I reckon.
No, that's what we're doing right now. We're placing those guys right now. We're going from 1 to 25, not 25 to 1. We're starting at the top. At 1.
I thought we were going to go from.
No, I think it's easier to go best to worst, not worst, best 25 because you can't. I don't want to move people around. You know what I mean? We had the conversation and build it out.
So are we going based on their value in the league?
Best careers, best value.
Then it probably goes.
I think the best player.
Bruce, Derrick Henry, Steve, then Eddie, maybe.
That's what I think. It's definitely Bruce. Is number 1. Bruce is the best Titan of all time. Hall of Fame.
Derrick Henry's still going. He's already surpassed where Eddie was at, I believe.
Yeah, he's better. I think Eddie's 4 for sure.
Yeah, Eddie's 4 for sure. So I think Steve comes in 3.
Here's my thing. Now
I think you put Steve at 2 because of the value in the position. Honestly.
He valued the position and he won an MVP.
Yeah, Bruce has to come in at 3 just because of the value of the position. I hate to crap on offensive linemen like that, man. But
Bruce at 3, I have Bruce at 1.
Or not? Yeah, sorry.
Bruce,
not Bruce.
Steve, Derrick, Eddie.
Yeah, Bruce, Steve, Derrick, Eddie. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, man. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. So
I know some people are going to disagree with that, but I don't care.
Absolutely, and let us know. Get in the comments. Tell us who you think the top 5 should be. To me.
Some people are going to get on to us about having an O lineman on the top, but
he is. He played all 5 positions. He played them at a Hall of Fame level.
Yeah.
Played for 18.
It's
I know
for you to find
only like 3 of those years were in the AFC
played.
South, but you can't deny who he was.
Yeah.
Because he was in the Titans uniform in the AFC South. We're going to count everything that he did. 5, to me, there's 3 players that can go at 5. Now, see if you agree. I'm going to name my 3. Chris Johnson, Keith Bullock, Devon Kearse.
I had Keith Bullock and Javon Curse. I was struggling coming up with a third name. Samari Roll was on the tip of my tongue.
I think he's a little bit after that, maybe the tier after those three guys.
Because he had an overall really great career.
So I'll take Chris Johnson down then, because you didn't even think so. Keith Bullock and Javon Curse. Who do you think?
I think it's
goes at
Keith
number
Bullock,
5?
man, just because he was a Titan for life, essentially.
Other than like
Except
one
for,
year,
maybe 1 year.
Curse
at the end,
left
played
and
for
came
the
back.
Giants or something.
Okay,
I think you got to put Keith Bullock number 5.
and that's where we're going to end the list tonight.
Mr. Monday Night, dude.
We're going to do 6 through 10. Just to recap, who we have as the top 5 AFC South Titans of all
Yeah, I'm
time.
gonna write it down so that we gotta keep it.
Yeah, definitely need to keep up with it because we'll do 6 through 10 next week. But Bruce Matthews,
Bruce,
Steve, Derek, Eddie, Bullock.
Yeah.
Tell us where we went wrong. Get in the comments. Let us know what your top 5 would be for sure. But that's how we see it right now. And we'll do 6 through 10 next episode. And we're going to do, like I said, 5 at a time until we get to 25. And we'll have top 25 Titans of all time according to Titans Table 4-2.
All right.
So I think that would get us. You ready for your final bite?
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, let's get to the final bite. What you got?
I'll go first, man. Just a word to all the Titans fans that are all upset about the Oilers jerseys this year, man. Just calm down a little bit. It's no big deal, dude. They'll be back in a couple of years. It's just for now, it's not one of these things that we're not going to ever see again, man. This is just how it goes, man. You get sorry about that, guys. You don't see the creamsicle jerseys for a while with the Bucks, then they came back, right? That's how these things go. And while you're doing your final bite, I'm actually going to pull up a comment that I saw in reference to this that I thought was perfect.
Yeah.
You go ahead and go.
My final bite, and it's not a lot of fans, but I have seen some talking about bringing in Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's a good player. He's looking to go somewhere where he can win a title. And we don't need him here just for the fact, like we talked about him all show, young receivers that have showing talent. We need them to grow with Cam Ward. Give them the game time. Our receiver room is where it needs to be for where this team is. Yeah. All these guys grow with Cam, grow in the offense. We don't need an older. We have 3 veteran receivers. We don't need another one.
Yeah, I agree.
So like I said, I don't think it's not the majority of Titans fans, but I have seen it thrown out there a few times. But we do not need Amari Cooper. We need a veteran anything. It's a pass rusher. I've been saying it all offseason. We needed Zadarius Smith. Still do. Still out there. Come sign.
Absolutely. And yeah, I found that I found the comment that I think this encapsulates kind of how I feel about it. It's not a big deal. Oiler throwbacks needed to go for now, in my opinion. When you're getting your butts whooped by the Texans and the Colts, it's time to cut the bull crap and get back to basics. There's no need to be petty and just want to wear those jerseys against the Texans. We are the Titans. Let's tighten the F up and move on from the Oilers. There's a reason the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. So I like that, man. Let's just focus on tight stuff for right now. No need to worry about some silly throwbacks we're not wearing for a year. Let's worry about going forward, man. Cam Ward is the future, baby. So
it's already come out that the Titans are going to be rebranding their uniforms, and the Titans uniforms are going to look a lot similar to those Oilers uniforms. So you might not see an Oilers uniform, but you will see a Titans uniform in that same colorway.
And they'll be back, though. They'll bring them back at some point in the future. You will get the Titans Oilers throwbacks again. They still sell them in the merchandise, so you can always go buy one. I think that might be my next Cam Ward jersey. I don't know. I was thinking about getting the Oilers one. So, yeah, man. I mean, not a big deal, dude. I like the comment from the fan there. That was from another Titans channel. But yeah, that's my final bite, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Well, on that note, thank y'all for joining us. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the alert button.
We didn't shout out CPN and all that in the beginning. That was my fault.
CPN. I brought him up just a minute ago, though. Yeah, CPN. Appreciate you having us as your Titans channel. But go check out CPM. We do an AFC South show over there. If you're one of the other AFC South teams, just check it in to see what we're talking about. We got shows for all 4 of the AFC South teams. Like I said, Unstable for the Colts, Third and Teal for the Jaguars, and that Real Texans Team podcast for the Texans. So
yeah, we'll try to. I'm thinking maybe we can do like a. We kind of did a half-assed prediction on the schedule, but maybe next week we can give a more serious and thought-out guess on the schedule, and then we'll do it one more time, maybe just before the games get started in the season. Maybe during preseason we'll do it one more time.
Yeah, we'll go through
see some action. But yeah, happy to be here, man. We'll catch you guys again next week.
Check, please.
Check, please.
Well, I'm not sure who's paying for this, but it ain't me.
Bruce Matthews, because he's number 1.
Yeah. Thanks, Bruce. See y'all. Tighten up.